Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1928 Mobster's weapon of choice. What is up, guys? This is Chris with FrozenSoldierAirsoft, and today we're going to be reviewing the Cybergun Thompson model 1928 by King Arms. That was a mouthful. So anyhow, once you purchase this weapon from evike.com or any retailer that actually sells this gun, you're going to notice that it comes in a very detailed box. Now this is one thing that Cybergun really likes to do. They like to chronograph their guns in .12 BBs. Don't ever put .12s in any of your guns. You run the risk of completely destroying the gearbox and you will void your warranty. Now, the outrageous claim from Cybergun in these gigantic letters right here is saying it's shooting 465 feet per second. That is insane. That is because they're using 12-gram BBs. So in actuality, this gun is shooting between 380 to 400 feet per second. So removing the top cover like so will reveal your gun that is packaged in pretty decent styrofoam. This isn't the best, and this is definitely kind of the styrofoam that likes to flake, but nonetheless, I wouldn't really worry about it being damaged during shipping. So starting from left to right, we're going to name off everything that comes in the box. So the first thing we'd like to start off with is the battery. Now this is a pretty decent battery. It's not the best. I would definitely strongly recommend getting a different battery for the Thompson. But, you know, for what it comes with, it is pretty decent. It is an 8.4 volt, 1100 milliamp battery, and it is ridiculously shiny, as you can tell. So now moving to my right, or your left, the next thing that you're going to notice that it comes with a pretty bad wall charger. I strongly recommend, like usual, getting a smart charger and just simply throwing this thing out. Oh my gosh, what is this with them keep giving me free snacks? I already ate the last ones from the other review and I don't want to eat these again. So now moving to your left, you'll notice that it comes with a pretty nice steel drum magazine. This magazine holds 450 shots, and I'll go over all the specifications later in the video. And finally, your gun itself. So upon removing the Thompson from the styrofoam, you're going to notice that this thing is completely laced with Cybergun Thompson trademarks. So I'm just going to point to all the trademarks that are located throughout this weapon. There's two trademarks located on the left side of the receiver here, and flipping the gun over to the right, you'll notice that it comes with a bunch of serialized numbers here. And like I stated previously, we're going to go over a little bit more on this magazine. Now you notice that the magazine comes with two pretty nice trademarks. Now one thing I'd like to mention is that this is a 450 round high capacity magazine, and to wind the magazine, simply wind it like so. Now doing it the opposite way will result in damaging your magazine, so just keep that in mind. So now moving back onto the gun, we're going to start from front to rear, and I'm going to name off all the plastic as well as metal pieces. So starting from the front, you notice that the gun comes with a pretty horribly, hideously large orange tip. Now this tip is easily removable, so don't be paranoid. So now I'm going to name off all the other plastic parts on the gun. So the other plastic parts are the front foregrip, the rear pistol grip, the lower receiver, and the rear buttstock. So everything else located throughout the gun is made out of pretty high quality metal. So now since we got the build materials out of the way, let's go on to the features. So moving on to the front sight is not adjustable, but I'm pretty sure you can remove it. I don't know why you would. Now moving on to the upper receiver, the hop-up unit is located right here and is a Thompson dial-style hop-up. This hop-up was pretty effective. It could be better if you put a better bucking in. So now moving down a little bit more, you'll notice that it comes with a nice imitation bolt that does spring back when you let it go. Now one thing I'd like to note is that this does not open your hop-up chamber like I stated previously, but for whatever reason, they just decided to let you see a nice view of your cylinder. So now moving on to the rear sight is completely adjustable for windage and elevation. I don't really want to mess with it, but basically you pull the tab up, you pull it to the left, pull it to the right. It's not the most accurate, but it gets the job done. So now moving on to the opposite side of the rifle, you'll notice that it has a very interesting selector switch. Now the selector switch is in two pieces right here. The one closest to the buttstock being the safe and fire position. So when this pin is pointing to the buttstock, it is on safe. When it's pointing to the front of the rifle, it's on fire. So now moving on to the next fire selector. You notice that when the little arrow thing is pointing towards the buttstock, it is on single fire. So that's basically semi-auto. So now flipping it over this way, pointing it to the front of the rifle, will be full auto, just like the gangsters use. Now the last feature on this gun is probably one of my biggest gripes. This is the mag release. Now the mag release is pretty decent, you know, don't get me wrong, it's really in a very peculiar spot. So when you're holding the rifle like so, the only way to release the magazine is to move your thumb and push up on the selector. So it's not pushing in, pushing down, it's pushing up. And it is a little bit snug when you first get the rifle, but once you unload and reload a couple of times, it should just come out just like that. So now let me show you what I mean. Now, when you have your hand wrapped around the pistol grip like so, the only way for a right-handed shooter, and it's even more difficult for a left-handed shooter, to remove the magazine is to take your thumb and somehow, move it up here. It's extraordinarily annoying and uncomfortable, but if you have a 450 round magazine, you really shouldn't be reloading that often. So now moving on to the gun's internal features. So this gun comes stock with a version 6 gearbox. Now this is Thompson specific. It's a little bit of a pain in the rear to take apart, put back together, but once you've done it a couple, 3, 4, 5 times, you should be pretty good at it. So now here is when the Thompson, in my opinion, gets a little bit confusing. This gun's stock is shooting 380 to 400 feet per second, which is ridiculous for a submachine gun. Now the reason why I say ridiculous is because a submachine gun was designated and designed to be used in a CQB environment. Now with this gun shooting that hot, you just can't take this into CQB without downgrading the spring. But when I brought this gun out to an outdoor environment, I had no problems picking people off between 180 to 200 feet. So this definitely has quite a bit of range for such a small rifle. And so, with that being said, that just about wraps up the review of the King Arms Cybergun Thompson Model 1928 submachine gun. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, please slap that like button, and as always, please subscribe.